I stayed silent while my own family destroyed my sense of safety because I needed them to think I was powerless. That's what I told myself the night I found the note. But let me back up, because the thing about betrayal is, you never see it coming from the people who raised you. My name is Alyssa Carter. I'm 22. I work at a design firm in Connecticut, and for 6 weeks, I thought I was going crazy. It started the way most nightmares do, small. So small you convince yourself it's nothing. I'd come home from work, and my closet door would be open. I was sure I'd closed it that morning. Positive, actually. But I'd stand there, staring at it, telling myself I must have forgotten. Then it was the window. Unlocked. I check it twice before bed every single night because my apartment was on the second floor and the balcony had easy access from the fire escape. Yet somehow, 3 times in 2 weeks, I'd wake up and find it unlatched. My phone charger disappeared. Just gone. I tore apart my entire apartment looking for it. Checked under the couch, inside drawers, even in the trash. Never found it. Have you ever felt like someone's been in your space? Not seen them, not heard them, just felt it? That's where I was living. In this constant low-level panic that made me feel ridiculous. I'd moved to Connecticut 6 weeks earlier. Got this 1-bedroom place near a convenience store, and this diner I loved that made the best pancakes I'd ever tasted. The apartment wasn't much, kind of outdated, beige walls, carpet that had seen better days, but it was mine. For the first time in my life, I didn't have to answer to anyone. Didn't have to explain where I was going or who I was with. Didn't have to tiptoe around anyone's mood. I grew up in New Jersey. Quiet neighborhood, the kind where everyone waves and pretends everything's fine. My parents still live in the same house. Same street. Same life. And my sister Emily still lives 20 minutes away from them. Emily's always been the one who needed more. More attention, more chances, more forgiveness. She'd take my clothes without asking when we were kids. She'd go through my room when I wasn't home. Once, she took $60 from my dresser, and when I confronted her, she cried and said she thought it was hers. Mom believed her. That's the part that hurt most. Not that Emily took from me, but that our parents always let her. She's going through something, Mom would say. Be patient with her. I was patient for years. So patient that I stopped expecting anything different. But when I moved to Connecticut, I thought that was over. I thought distance would finally give me peace. It didn't. The night everything changed, I'd worked late. Some client wanted last-minute revisions on a logo design, so I didn't get home until almost 9. I was exhausted. The kind of tired where you barely remember locking your door. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and headed straight for the bathroom to wash my face. That's when I saw it. A sticky note. Pale yellow. Stuck right in the center of my bathroom mirror. My hand froze on the light switch. The note had 3 words and an initial. Nice place. E. E for Emily. My sister's handwriting. I knew it instantly. She's always written her capital E's with that weird extra loop at the top. I stood there for a full minute, just staring at it. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. She'd been inside my apartment. Not just inside the building. Inside my actual apartment. In my bathroom. Standing exactly where I was standing. I ripped the note off the mirror, and my hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped it. How did she get in? When was she here? Was she here right now? I checked every room. Looked in closets, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. I was alone. But I didn't feel alone. I called Emily. No answer. Texted her. Nothing. Then I called my mom. Alyssa, it's late. What's wrong? Was Emily at my apartment today? Silence. Then, why would you think that? Because she left me a note, Mom. She was inside my apartment. That doesn't make sense. Emily's been home all day. Then how did her note get on my bathroom mirror? Another pause. Longer this time. Maybe you're stressed, honey. New job, new place. It's a lot of change. That's when I knew. She wasn't going to help me. What I didn't know yet was that it was about to get so much worse. The next morning, I convinced myself I'd overreacted. Maybe Emily had visited weeks ago when I first moved in, back when I'd given her my address. Maybe the note had been there the whole time, and I just hadn't noticed. That's what I wanted to believe. Reality had other plans. 2 nights later, I woke up at 2:47 a.m. to footsteps in the hallway outside my door. Not running. Not sneaking. Just walking. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone pacing back and forth. I held my breath, sitting up in bed, listening. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I waited for a knock. For a voice. For something. Nothing came. After 5 minutes of silence, I finally convinced myself it was a neighbor. Someone coming home late. It had to be. But when I left for work the next morning, I found my welcome mat flipped upside down. That same week, A package I'd ordered never arrived. The tracking said it was delivered to my front door. I checked with neighbors. I filed a complaint with the delivery company. No one had seen anything. Then it rained on a Thursday night. One of those heavy storms that pounds against the windows and makes you grateful to be inside. I woke up Friday morning and stepped onto my balcony to check if my small plant had survived. That's when I saw them. Footprints. Wet. Recent. They came from the fire escape, crossed my balcony, and led directly to my sliding glass door. But here's what made my stomach drop. They didn't lead away. Whoever made those prints had walked toward my door and either came inside or disappeared. I checked the lock. Secure. But I knew what I was seeing. Someone had been on my balcony during the storm. Someone had tried my door. I couldn't ignore it anymore. That afternoon, I went to a store and bought the cheapest security camera I could find. The kind that connects to your phone and sends alerts when it detects motion. I set it up in my living room, angled toward the front door and the balcony. Then I turned it on and tried to forget about it. For 3 days, nothing happened. I started to relax. Started to think maybe I'd scared whoever it was away. Then I got the notification. Motion detected. 3:17 a.m. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and opened the app. The footage loaded, and what I saw made me forget how to breathe. Emily was sitting on my couch. Not breaking in. Not searching for something. Not even moving. Just sitting there. Completely still. Staring straight ahead at the wall like she was waiting for something. She was already inside when the camera started recording. That meant she'd been there even longer than the footage showed. I watched her sit in silence for 23 minutes. She never looked at the camera. Never looked around. Never checked her phone. She just sat. Then at 3:40 a.m., she stood up, walked to my front door, unlocked it from the inside, and left. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I'd just seen. My own sister had a key to my apartment, or knew how to get in without one. And she'd been doing this for who knows how long. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. By morning, I'd watched the footage 17 times, hoping I'd see something different. Some explanation that made sense. There wasn't one. I called Emily at 8 a.m. She answered on the third ring. Hey, what's up? I need to talk to you. Now. Okay, calm down. What's going on? You were in my apartment last night. Silence. Emily, I have you on camera. Sitting on my couch at 3 in the morning. So don't lie to me. I expected denial. Panic. Anger. Instead, she laughed. Soft. Almost gentle. If you're scared, Alyssa, maybe you shouldn't live alone. Then she hung up. I reported it to my landlord that same day. Showed him the footage. Asked him to check the locks. He came back an hour later and told me nothing had been tampered with. Everything was secure. No signs of forced entry. Maybe she had a key, he suggested. Family sometimes makes copies. But I'd never given her a key. Never even told her which apartment number was mine. So how was she getting in? And more importantly, why did everyone keep acting like this was normal? I realized something that day. Something that changed everything. No one was going to protect me. If I wanted this to stop, I'd have to do it myself. What I didn't know yet was how far I'd have to go. I spent the next week trying to find answers that didn't exist. My landlord insisted the locks were fine. My parents told me I was being dramatic. Even my coworker, the one I'd started having lunch with, suggested maybe Emily was just checking on me and didn't realize how it looked. Checking on me at 3 in the morning. Without permission. Without a sound. Sure. Nobody wanted to say what was obvious, that my sister was doing something deeply wrong. It was easier to make me feel crazy than to admit what they were seeing. So I stopped asking for help. I called Emily one more time. Asked her to meet me at a coffee shop halfway between us. She showed up 20 minutes late, wearing sunglasses inside, acting like nothing had happened. You wanted to talk, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I put my phone on the table between us, opened the camera app, showed her the footage. She watched herself sitting on my couch in the dark, watched herself stand up and leave. Her expression never changed. That's me, she said, pushing the phone back toward me. I know it's you. What I want to know is how you got in. And why? She leaned back, crossed her arms. Does it matter? Of course it matters. You broke into my apartment. Did I break anything? The question caught me off guard. What? Did I break anything? Steal anything? Hurt you? That's not the point. Then what is the point, Alyssa? She leaned forward now, elbows on the table. You moved away. You didn't tell anyone where you were going. You just disappeared like we don't exist. I told Mom and Dad. I gave them my address. You gave them an address. You didn't invite us over. You didn't ask if we wanted to help you move. You just left. My chest tightened. So this is punishment? You're breaking into my apartment because I moved an hour away. She smiled then. Not a big smile. Just a small one that didn't reach her eyes. If you're scared, maybe you shouldn't live alone. It was the exact same thing she'd said on the phone. Word for word. Like she'd practiced it. Stay away from me, I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I mean it, Emily. If you come near my apartment again, I'm calling the police. She stood up, still smiling. You won't. Try me. You won't, she repeated. Because you don't want Mom and Dad to know what kind of daughter you really are. Then she walked out. I sat there for 10 minutes after she left, staring at my phone, replaying her words. What kind of daughter you really are. Like I was the problem. Like wanting privacy and safety made me selfish. That's when I understood something important. This wasn't going to stop. Emily wasn't going to suddenly respect boundaries. My parents weren't going to intervene. And nobody, not my landlord, not the police, not anyone, was going to take this seriously until something terrible happened. So I had two choices. I could stay in that apartment, constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next time I'd find her sitting in my living room in the dark. Or I could leave. But if I left the normal way, told everyone, packed up, made it obvious, she'd just follow me. She'd get my new address from Mom. She'd find another way in. I needed to disappear in a way that made it impossible for her to follow. And I needed her to face real consequences for what she'd been doing. The idea came to me 3 days later while I was looking at apartments online during my lunch break. What if I left without telling anyone? What if I made it look like I still lived there, but I didn't? What if the next time Emily let herself into my apartment, it wasn't actually my apartment anymore? Some people might say what I did next was cruel. Maybe it was. But tell me, what would you have done? Planning an escape while pretending everything's normal is harder than it sounds. I couldn't let anyone know I was leaving. Not my parents. Not coworkers. Not even the neighbors I'd started saying hello to in the elevator. One slip, one casual mention, and it would get back to Emily. So I smiled, went to work, came home at normal times, kept my routines exactly the same. And in the spaces between, I planned. First, I needed a new apartment. Somewhere far enough that Emily couldn't just drive by. Somewhere she'd never think to look. I called my friend Vanessa from college. She'd moved to Virginia 2 years ago, and we'd kept in touch through occasional texts and phone calls. How would you feel about having a neighbor? I asked her one night. Wait, are you serious? You're moving here? Maybe. Do you know any apartments available? She sent me 3 listings the next day. I applied to all of them. Got approved for one within a week. A small place near Vanessa's neighborhood, 15 minutes from her apartment. I signed the lease online, paid the deposit from my savings, set the move-in date for 3 weeks out. Then came the hard part, packing without anyone noticing. I started small, 1 box at a time. Things Emily wouldn't notice if she broke in again. Old books, winter clothes I wasn't wearing, kitchen items I had duplicates of. I'd pack a box after work, load it into my car before sunrise, and drive it to a storage unit I'd rented 2 towns over. Every few days, I'd make the trip, drop off another piece of my life, come back before anyone woke up. It took 2 weeks to move everything that mattered. My clothes, my laptop, photos, documents, anything I actually needed. But here's the important part. I left everything else behind. The furniture stayed. The dishes stayed in the cabinets. My cheap coffee maker on the counter. Boots by the door. A jacket on the coat rack. I even left food in the fridge. Made it look lived in. Because if Emily broke in and found the place empty, she'd know I'd left. She'd call Mom. They'd try to find me. But if it looked like I just stepped out for the day, she wouldn't suspect anything. On my last night in Connecticut, I walked through the apartment one final time. It felt strange, knowing I'd never sleep there again. Knowing that in 3 days, this place would legally belong to someone else. I checked the camera one more time. Made sure it was still recording, still sending alerts to my phone. Then I did something that felt both smart and terrifying. I took my spare key, the one I kept in my purse, and drove to the apartment complex office. They were closed, but they had a drop box for maintenance requests. And inside that drop box was a ceramic bowl where tenants could leave keys if they were locked out and needed the super to let them in. I dropped my spare key into that bowl. The apartment wasn't mine anymore. My lease was ending in 72 hours. I'd already notified the landlord I wouldn't be renewing. Which meant if Emily used whatever method she'd been using to get inside, if she walked through that door one more time, it wouldn't be trespassing against me. It would be trespassing against the property. And that was a crime the police couldn't ignore. I drove to Virginia that night. Vanessa helped me unload my car the next morning. And then I waited. I didn't have to wait long. 3 days after I moved to Virginia, my phone buzzed at 11:34 p.m. Motion detected. I was sitting on Vanessa's couch. We'd been watching some cooking show, half paying attention, mostly just talking about her job and how different Virginia felt from college. When the notification came through, everything inside me went cold. "You okay?" Vanessa asked. She paused the show and was looking at me. "You just went completely white." I opened the app with shaking hands. The camera feed loaded slowly, buffering. Then the image appeared. Emily was standing in the middle of the living room. Not sitting this time. Standing, looking around like she was searching for something. "Oh my God," Vanessa whispered. She'd moved closer, looking over my shoulder at my phone. "Is that my sister? In my old apartment, the one I don't live in anymore." We watched in real time as Emily walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, closed it, checked the bathroom, came back to the living room. She stood there for a moment, hands on her hips, like she was annoyed. Then she sat down on the couch, the same spot as before, and she just waited. "What is she doing?" Vanessa asked. "I don't know. But that was a lie. I knew exactly what she was doing. She was waiting for me to come home." My finger hovered over the phone icon. I could call the police right now, report an intruder, give them the address, show them the live footage. But something made me hesitate. If I called too soon, Emily might hear sirens and leave before they arrived. She'd make up some excuse, say she still had a key from when I'd given her one, claim it was all a misunderstanding. And my parents would back her up. They always did. I needed her caught, inside, with no excuse, no way to explain it away. So I waited. 5 minutes passed. Emily was still sitting there, scrolling through her phone now. "Alyssa, call the cops," Vanessa said. "This is insane." "Not yet." "What do you mean, not yet?" "She broke into." "She needs to be there when they arrive. If she leaves before they get there, it's my word against hers." 10 minutes. Emily stood up, walked to the window, looked outside. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. 15 minutes. She was pacing now, checking her phone, starting to look frustrated. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me wondered if I was being cruel, setting her up like this. But then I remembered the footsteps at 2 a.m., the note on my mirror, the way she'd smiled when she told me I shouldn't live alone. The guilt disappeared. "How long are you going to wait?" Vanessa asked quietly. "Until I'm sure they'll catch her." 20 minutes. Emily sat back down, but she looked agitated now. Kept standing up, sitting down, checking her phone. I took a deep breath and opened my phone's keypad. Dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? There's someone inside my apartment who shouldn't be there. I kept my voice steady. Calm. I'm out of town and just saw them on my security camera. What's the address? I gave it to her. My old address in Connecticut. Can you describe the person? Female. Late 20s, brown hair. She's in my living room right now. I'm watching her on my phone. Okay, ma'am. Officers are on their way. Stay on the line with me. I watched the camera feed while the dispatcher asked me questions. My name. When I'd last been at the apartment. Whether the person was armed. No weapon that I can see. But I don't know how she got in. All my doors were locked. 8 minutes after I called, I saw red and blue lights flash across the camera feed. Emily's head snapped toward the window. She stood up fast. For a moment, I thought she might run. Might try to escape through the balcony or hide in the bathroom. But she didn't. She just stood there in the middle of the living room as someone knocked on the door. Police. Open the door. Emily hesitated, then slowly walked to the door and opened it. I couldn't hear what they were saying. The camera didn't have audio. But I watched as 2 officers stepped inside, watched as they talked to Emily, gestured around the apartment. One of them pulled out a phone, probably calling it in. Emily was talking fast now, hands moving, explaining something. But they didn't leave. They kept asking questions. One officer walked around the apartment, checking rooms. The other stayed with Emily. Neither of them looked like they believed whatever she was telling them. "Ma'am," the dispatcher said, "officers have made contact with the individual. They're going to need to speak with you. Can they call you at this number?" "Yes." "Okay. They'll be in touch shortly." She hung up. I looked at Vanessa. She looked back at me. "Did you really just do that?" she asked. I didn't answer. Because honestly, I wasn't sure yet if I'd done the right thing or just made everything worse. The call came 20 minutes later. "Is this Alyssa Carter?" "Yes." "This is Officer Martinez with the Connecticut Police Department. We're at your apartment on Riverside Drive. Can you verify for me that you're the leaseholder?" I was. My lease ended 3 days ago. I moved out last week. Silence on the other end. Then, and did you give anyone permission to enter the apartment after you moved out? No. No one. What about the woman we found inside? She claims she's your sister and that you gave her a key months ago. My jaw clenched. Of course that's what she'd say. I never gave my sister a key. I never gave her permission to enter my apartment, before or after I moved out. Check with the landlord. I returned my only spare key when I left. More silence. I could hear him talking to someone else in the background, voice muffled. Ma'am, we're going to need you to send us that security footage. Can you do that? Yes. Right now if you need it. That would be helpful. I'm going to text you an email address. Send everything you have, tonight's footage, and any previous incidents. There are previous incidents. How many? At least 3 that I recorded. But it was happening before I installed the camera. He let out a slow breath. Send it all. We'll review it and be in touch. What's going to happen to my sister? Right now we're detaining her for questioning. Whether charges are filed depends on what the property owner wants to do and what evidence supports. But ma'am, between you and me, this doesn't look good for her. He hung up. I spent the next hour uploading every piece of footage I had. The night Emily sat on my couch staring at nothing. The motion alerts from other nights when I'd been too scared to check. Screenshots of the timestamps. I sent it all. Then I sat back and waited for my phone to ring again. It didn't take long. Alyssa? What the hell did you do? My mother. Her voice sharp and angry in a way I'd only heard a handful of times in my life. Hi, Mom. Don't hi, Mom me. The police just called. They have Emily at the station. They're talking about trespassing charges. What did you tell them? The truth. The truth? You set her up. You moved out and didn't tell anyone. Left everything there like you still live there, and then called the cops when she went to check on you. She broke in, Mom. Multiple times. I have her on camera. She's your sister. She was worried about you. At 3 a.m, sitting in the dark without saying anything. That's not worry, that's... You don't understand what you've done. Do you have any idea what this could do to her record? To her future? Something snapped inside me. Do you have any idea what she did to me? My voice came out louder than I meant it to. I couldn't sleep in my own apartment. I was terrified every single night. I had to prop chairs against my door because I didn't know when she'd show up. And you're upset that she finally has to face consequences. She's family, Alyssa. Family doesn't break in, Mom. Silence. Then her voice came back quieter. Colder. Your father and I are very disappointed in you. She hung up. I stared at my phone, hands shaking. Vanessa put her hand on my shoulder. You okay? No. My voice cracked. But I think I did the right thing. You did. Then why do I feel like this? She didn't have an answer for that. 2 days later, I got another call from Officer Martinez. Miss Carter, I wanted to update you on your sister's case. Based on the evidence you provided and statements from the property management, we're moving forward with criminal trespassing charges. My stomach dropped. Okay. The property owner confirmed your lease had ended and that you'd returned all keys. Your sister had no legal right to be in that apartment. The footage you provided shows a pattern of unauthorized entry. This isn't a one-time mistake. What happens now? She'll have a court date. She's been released on her own recognizance, but she's been ordered to have no contact with you. If she tries to reach you, call us immediately. Will I have to testify? Possibly. The prosecutor will be in touch if they need you. After he hung up, I sat on my bed in my new apartment and cried. Not because I regretted what I'd done, but because somewhere in the back of my mind, I'd hoped my parents would finally see what Emily had been doing. I'd hoped they'd be angry at her, not me. Instead, they blamed me for refusing to be a victim anymore. My phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. You're going to regret this. I blocked it immediately. But 3 more texts came from different numbers within the hour, all saying versions of the same thing. Emily had friends. Or she'd found ways around the no-contact order. I reported every message to Officer Martinez. But something else was bothering me. Something I couldn't quite name yet. If Emily was this angry, this desperate to get to me, why had she been breaking in before? What was she looking for? What I didn't know yet was that the answer to that question would change everything. Because 3 days after Emily's arrest, I got a letter in the mail. And the signature on it made my blood run cold. The envelope had my new Virginia address on it. That was the first thing that scared me. I hadn't given my new address to my parents. Hadn't told anyone except Vanessa and my employer for paycheck purposes. So how did the apartment complex in Connecticut know where to forward mail? I opened it carefully, like it might explode. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A photocopy of a maintenance request form from my old building. The request was dated 2 months ago. October 15th. Reason for request. Tenant's sister needs spare key for emergency access. Tenant traveling frequently for work and requested family member have access. My hand started shaking before I even got to the signature line. Because I'd never made that request. I'd never traveled for work. I'd never asked for Emily to have access to anything. But someone had. Someone had signed this form, walked it into the apartment office, and convinced them to make a copy of my spare key. The signature at the bottom wasn't Emily's. It was my mother's. I read it 3 times. 4. 5. Each time, the same swooping M. The same way she dotted her I's. The exact signature I'd seen on birthday cards and permission slips my entire life. My mother had given Emily access to my apartment. Not by accident. Not as a misunderstanding. Deliberately. I sat down on my kitchen floor, still holding the paper. The note at the bottom of the page was from the property management company. Per your request, we're providing this documentation for your records and for any legal proceedings. Please let us know if you need additional information. They'd sent this to help me. Proof that someone had obtained a key under false pretenses. But all I could think about was my mother's voice on the phone 3 days ago. She's your sister. She was worried about you. She'd known. The whole time, she'd known exactly how Emily was getting in. Because she's the one who'd made it possible. I called Vanessa. Didn't even say hello when she picked up. My mom gave Emily a key to my apartment. What? The management company just sent me the request form. My mom forged my signature and told them Emily needed emergency access. That's how she's been getting in. Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. Are you sure it's her signature? Positive. Then your mom's been helping her this entire time. The words hung in the air between us. I'd known my parents always defended Emily. Always made excuses. Always told me to be patient, be understanding, be the bigger person. But this wasn't defending her. This was participating. Why would she do this? I asked, even though I wasn't really asking Vanessa. What did she think was going to happen? Maybe she thought Emily could convince you to move back home. By terrorizing me? I don't know, Alyssa. None of this makes sense. But the more I thought about it, the more it started to make a horrible kind of sense. My mom had never liked that I moved away. She'd made comments about how I was abandoning the family and getting too independent. She'd wanted me close, controllable, within reach. And when I left anyway, she'd sent Emily to remind me that distance didn't mean freedom. I looked at the letter again, at my mother's forged signature at the date 2 months ago, right after I'd moved in. This wasn't a recent decision. This was planned from the beginning. But there was still one thing I didn't understand. If my mom wanted me to move home, why go through all this? Why not just ask? Unless there was something else. Something I was missing. Something bigger than just wanting me close. I couldn't stop thinking about that maintenance form. 2 months ago, right after I moved in. Which meant my mom had been planning this before I'd even unpacked my first box. I pulled out my laptop and started going through old emails, texts, anything that might show me what I'd been missing. And once I started looking, really looking, the pattern was everywhere. 6 months before I moved, I told my parents I was looking at apartments in Connecticut. My mom's response had been immediate. Why so far? There are places closer to home. When I'd signed the lease, she'd asked for my exact address, in case of emergencies. I'd given it to her. Thought nothing of it. 2 weeks after I moved, she called asking when she could visit. I told her I needed time to settle in first. She'd sounded hurt. I just want to make sure you're safe. A week later, Emily's visit started. The sticky note. The footsteps. The sitting in my living room at 3 a.m. I thought it was Emily being Emily, crossing boundaries because she'd never learned where they were. But what if it wasn't random? What if every single visit had been reported back? I opened my text messages with my mom. Scrolled back through months of conversations. There. 3 weeks ago. Me. Someone's been in my apartment. Things keep getting moved. Mom, are you sure? Maybe you're just stressed from work. The next day, Emily had left the note on my mirror. 2 weeks ago. Me. I installed a camera. I need to know if someone's really breaking in or if I'm losing my mind. Mom, a camera seems extreme. You're probably just hearing neighbors. 3 days later, Emily had shown up at 3 a.m. and sat on my couch. Every time I tried to tell my mom what was happening, Emily's behavior had escalated. Like she'd been told to push harder. Make it worse. My stomach turned. I grabbed my phone and opened the family plan account, the cell phone plan all 4 of us had been on since I was 16. I'd forgotten I was still on it. Kept meaning to get my own plan but never got around to it. I logged into the account using my dad's password, the one he'd had forever and never changed. Metz 1986. The account management page loaded. And there it was. Location sharing. Enabled for all family members. My mom could see exactly where I was. At any time. Down to the specific address. I clicked on my location history. Every place I'd been for the last 6 months was documented. Work. The grocery store. Vanessa's apartment. The storage unit where I'd hidden my belongings before the move. My new apartment in Virginia. She'd known where I was this entire time. I disabled the location sharing immediately, handshaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. Then I looked at Emily's location history. The night she'd been arrested. The night she'd been caught in my old apartment. My mom's location showed her 20 minutes away. Not at home in New Jersey like she'd claimed. In Connecticut. Parked 2 blocks from my old building. I went back further. The night Emily had sat on my couch at 3 a.m., Mom's location showed the same thing. Connecticut. 2 blocks away. Every single time Emily had broken in, my mom had been nearby. Not at home. Not unaware. Right there. I called Vanessa. She was there, I said as soon as she picked up. Every time Emily broke in, my mom was parked 2 blocks away. Wait, how do you know? Location history. I'm still on their family phone plan. I can see everywhere they've been. Oh my God. She wasn't just helping Emily get in. She was there. I couldn't say the word at first. It sounded too crazy, but it was the only word that fit. Like a lookout. Vanessa didn't say anything for a moment. Then, what were they looking for? What? Think about it. If your mom went through all this trouble, forging documents, getting Emily a key, being there as a lookout, she wasn't just trying to scare you into moving home. She was looking for something. I hadn't thought about it that way. But I don't have anything, I said. No money, no secrets, nothing worth. I stopped, because that wasn't entirely true. 2 years ago, my grandmother had passed away. She'd left me an inheritance. A substantial one. $273,000 from the sale of her house and her life savings. She'd specifically named me in her will. Only me. Not Emily. Not split between us. Just me. My mom had been furious. Said it should have been divided equally. Said Grandma had been manipulated into changing her will. Said I'd poisoned her against the rest of the family. But I'd been Grandma's favorite. Everyone knew it. I'd spent weekends with her, helped her with groceries, called her every week. Emily had barely visited unless she needed something. And the will had been clear. The money sat in a trust account. Untouchable until I turned 25, or used it for a house purchase. I had the paperwork somewhere in my files. Had my mom been trying to find those documents? Bank statements? Account numbers? The trust information? Or was there something else? Something I didn't even know I had? I spent the next 2 days going through every piece of paperwork I owned. Bank statements. The trust documents from Grandma's estate. Old tax returns. Anything that might explain why my mom would go this far. The trust was ironclad. I'd read through it with a lawyer when Grandma died. The money was mine. Nobody could touch it, contest it, or claim any part of it. So why were they so desperate to get into my apartment? I was missing something. I could feel it. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Emily sitting on my couch in the dark, staring at nothing. What had she been waiting for? At 2 a.m, I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the security footage again. All of it. Every single clip from the past month. I watched Emily's first visit, the one where she left the note. Then the second visit, the 3 a.m. sitting session. Then the night she got arrested. I watched them in order, looking for anything I'd missed. And that's when I saw it. In the third video, the arrest night, there was a shadow in the hallway behind Emily before she entered. I backed up the footage, paused it, enhanced the image as much as the cheap camera would allow. Someone else had been there, standing in the hallway while Emily went inside. The figure was partially obscured, but I could make out enough. A woman, average height, wearing a dark jacket. I checked the timestamp, 11:23 p.m. Then I pulled up my mom's location history for that night. She'd arrived at 11:15 p.m. Parked 2 blocks away. Her location hadn't moved until 12:47 a.m., 20 minutes after the police arrived. She hadn't just been nearby. She'd been right outside my door. I went back through all the other videos, looking for the same thing. The first visit, the sticky note night. I'd only captured Emily leaving, but when I looked closely at the hallway camera timestamp from the building system, the one the police had pulled, there were 2 sets of footsteps in the audio. One entering, one waiting. The 3 a.m. visit. Same thing. Emily inside. Someone in the hallway. Every single time Emily had broken in, someone had been standing guard outside. My mother. But why outside? Why not coming together? Unless my mom didn't want to be on camera. Emily was younger. Naive enough to think she wouldn't get caught. Loyal enough to do whatever Mom asked without questioning it. My mom was smarter. She stayed out of frame. Let Emily take all the risk. If Emily got caught, Mom could claim she had no idea what her daughter was doing. Plausible deniability. I grabbed my phone and called Officer Martinez. It was 3 a.m, but I didn't care. He answered on the 4th ring, voice thick with sleep. "This is Martinez. It's Alyssa Carter. I found something. Miss Carter, it's 3 a.m. My mother was outside my apartment every time my sister broke in. She was the lookout, and I can prove it." Silence. Then I heard rustling, like he was sitting up. "What kind of proof?" "Location data, phone records, and footage that shows someone else in the hallway. Send it to me. All of it. I'll review it in the morning and pass it along to the prosecutor." "There's something else," I said. My voice was shaking now. "My grandmother left me money when she died. A lot of money. Almost $300,000. My mom was furious about it. She thought it should have been split with my sister." "You think that's what this is about?" "I think she was looking for the trust documents. Bank information. Something she could use to access it or contest the will." He was quiet for a long moment. "That would be fraud. Potentially identity theft if she was trying to access your accounts." "I know. Miss Carter, if what you're saying is true, this is bigger than trespassing. Your mother could be facing serious charges." My throat tightened. I didn't want this. I just wanted them to leave me alone. "I understand. But you need to decide. Are you willing to pursue this? Because once we start pulling records, making calls, there's no going back." I looked at my laptop screen. At the shadowy figure in the hallway. At my mother's location data, showing her parked 2 blocks away, night after night, while my sister terrorized me. "Yes," I said. "I'm willing." "Okay. Send me everything you have. We'll take it from here." After I hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. I'd thought Emily was the problem. But Emily had just been the weapon. My mother was the one pulling the trigger. And now I had to decide. Was I ready for my entire family to know I'd turned them both in? Part of me still wanted to protect them. Still wanted to believe there was some explanation that made sense. But the other part, the part that had slept with chairs against the door, that had jumped at every sound, that had felt crazy for months, that part knew the truth. They'd never planned to stop. Not until they got what they wanted. I sent everything to Officer Martinez that night. The location data, the enhanced footage showing the shadow in the hallway, screenshots of every text message where my mom had dismissed my concerns right before Emily escalated. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I blocked my parents' numbers, blocked Emily's number, blocked every aunt, uncle, and cousin who might try to reach me on their behalf. I didn't owe them an explanation. Didn't owe them a chance to talk me out of what I knew was right. For 3 days, nothing happened. I went to work, came home, tried to pretend everything was normal. But on the 4th day, Officer Martinez called. "Miss Carter, we've reviewed everything you sent. We've also pulled phone records and interviewed the apartment management again. And your mother's phone was in contact with your sister's phone minutes before each incident. Text messages, calls. There's a clear pattern of coordination." My chest tightened. "So what happens now?" "The prosecutor is adding your mother as a co-conspirator. She'll be charged with criminal trespassing, conspiracy to commit fraud, and potentially identity theft, depending on what else we find." "Identity theft?" "We found evidence that someone attempted to access your bank account 3 times in the past 2 months. Different IP addresses, but all attempts were made using your grandmother's maiden name as a security answer." "That's not public information." "My grandmother's maiden name. Something only family would know." "They were trying to get into my account," I said quietly. "Yes. And if we can prove it was your mother, or that she provided that information to your sister, that's identity theft. Federal charges." I couldn't speak. Couldn't process what I was hearing. "Miss Carter, I need you to understand something. This case is no longer just about trespassing. Your mother orchestrated a months-long campaign of harassment and attempted fraud. That's serious." "I know. Do you want to proceed?" Did I? I thought about the sticky note on my mirror. The footsteps at 2 a.m. Emily's smile when she told me I shouldn't live alone. I thought about my mom's voice on the phone. "You're not the daughter I raised." Maybe I wasn't. Maybe the daughter she raised would have stayed quiet, would have let them take whatever they wanted because that's what family does. But I wasn't that person anymore. "Yes," I said. "I want to proceed." "Okay. We'll be in touch." 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. "Alyssa!" My father's voice. Strained. Tired. He must have called from someone else's phone. What have you done? I protected myself. The police just left our house. They questioned your mother for 2 hours. They took her phone. They're talking about charges, serious charges. I know. How could you do this to us? To your own family? How could she do what she did to me? My voice rose. Dad, she gave Emily a key to my apartment. She forged documents. She was outside every time Emily broke in. She tried to access my bank account. She was trying to help you. Help me? By terrorizing me? By making me feel crazy? By trying to steal from me? That money should have been split fairly. Your grandmother wasn't thinking clearly when she... Stop. I cut him off. Just stop. Grandma was perfectly clear. She left me that money because I actually cared about her. Because I visited her and called her and didn't just show up when I needed something. Your mother has sacrificed everything for this family. And I sacrificed my peace, my safety, and my sanity. But I guess that doesn't count. Silence. Then his voice came back, quieter, colder. If you go through with this, you're not welcome here anymore. Do you understand? You'll have no family. Something inside me cracked. Not broke, just shifted into place. I haven't had a family for a long time, Dad. I just didn't want to admit it. I hung up. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. 3 weeks later, my mom was formally charged. Emily took a plea deal, probation, and mandatory counseling in exchange for testimony. I didn't go to court. Didn't need to. The evidence spoke for itself. Vanessa asked me once if I regretted it, if I wished I'd handled it differently. I thought about it for a long time before answering. No, I finally said, because they weren't going to stop, and I deserved to feel safe. She nodded, didn't say anything else. That night, I slept without checking the locks, without listening for footsteps, without wondering if someone was watching. My phone buzzed once, a voicemail from an unknown number. I knew it was my mother. I didn't listen to it, just deleted it and went back to sleep. Some people will say I went too far, that I should have tried to work it out, that family deserves second chances. Maybe they're right. But here's what I know. People who betray you don't deserve a warning. They don't deserve your silence. And they definitely don't deserve access to your life. My grandmother left me that money because she believed in me, because she wanted me to have freedom. And I finally took it. Not just the money, the freedom. They asked why I never warned them, why I just disappeared and let the law handle it. I didn't answer. Because the truth is, I had been warning them my whole life. They just never listened.